Yeah. I mean, there's already people on.
We are here at the Hawaii Marine Animal Response. This is where they go. I'll actually let Jon. Jon, can you introduce yourself for our viewers?
Yeah, I'm Jon Gelman. I'm the president and founder of Hawaii Marine Animal Response. So we're a 7-year-old organization on Oahu and Molokai that works with Hawaiian monk seals, dolphins, whales, sea turtles, and seabirds.
Hey.
Great. So we're just here to talk with you to kind of get your idea on the guidelines and everything around marine animals that we see with our viewers all the time. So can you tell us like some of the guidelines on sea turtles and why those guidelines are put in place?
Sure. Sea turtles are protected under the Endangered Species Act, so they've got a whole bunch of laws that protect them. The main thing we're looking for people to do in the water if they encounter a sea turtle is don't cause an interaction. So stay away from it. We say at least 10 feet, and don't make it change its behavior. So don't make it swim away from you, don't make it swim towards you, just don't interact with it at all. That's just the general guidance.
That is really good information to know about the sea turtles. Is there a reason why that's put in place? Is that to protect the sea turtle itself?
Yeah, so once an animal is listed on the Endangered Species Act, it's for a reason. And it's because they've been determined that they are vulnerable and could lead to this extinction. So therefore, these rules are put in place to protect them from interaction and other harmful threats that could actually deplete their populations.
Okay, that's awesome. That's really good to know. So for all of you guys watching, just make sure that whenever you're interacting with sea turtles, especially here in Hawaii, that you are, like you said, keeping your distance, not interacting with them, don't swim towards them, don't try to get them to swim towards us, etc.
Jim Jam wants to know, like, what about the monk seals? What are guidelines on monk seals?
Yeah, I can address that. So monk seals, but also because they're a marine mammal, they're protected under the Marine Mammal Protection Act. So they have a whole bunch of laws protecting them. And in the water, the guideline is to stay at least 50 feet away. But again, the same rule applies. You don't want to cause an interaction, and you don't want to do anything that would change their behavior. So we don't want them to see you. We don't want them to swim towards you. We don't want you to swim towards them. If you encounter one, and you see one in the distance, and you stay at least 50 feet away, that'd be about the right way.
Awesome. So hopefully that answers your question, and I imagine this is the same. We're doing this to keep that animal safe, to ensure that the species continues, etc.
Right.
What about like whales? We have a lot of humpback whales in Maui.
So humpback whales are protected under the Marine Mammal Protection Act, and they're unusual in that particular species of whale has a specific distance law. And the way it's worded is you cannot approach a humpback whale within 300 feet. Approach. So you could paddle out and see one in the distance, and you could approach it within 300 feet, and then you have to stop. But if it moves towards you, you can stop and stay there. Right? Now, other animals you might encounter, like a spinner dolphin, the law is different. In a spinner dolphin, you can't approach more than 150 feet, and you must maintain 150 feet. So if the dolphin starts to swim towards you and you have less than 150 feet, you have to swim backwards. You have to move back and maintain 150 feet at all times. Other dolphins and other whales, it's a 300-foot guideline for whales, and it's a 150-foot guideline for other dolphins.
Okay, and does the same like approach law for them matter for the other dolphins, or if you're like out there and they approach you, if you just sit there?
So for other dolphins and other whales, it's not a law, it's a guideline. But again, what we don't want to do is have you do anything that would change their natural behavior.
Okay.
So if they're swimming in a particular direction, you want to let them continue to swim in that direction. You don't want to get in front of them. You don't want to push them or herd them by swimming towards them or paddling towards them. You want to just maintain your distance, 300 feet for a whale, 150 feet for a dolphin, and just let them behave naturally.
I'm just going to ask you guys to speak up a little, tiny bit, just because of that thing.
Is there any other questions people are asking?
Yeah, we're going to, hey everyone, we're not going to do a dive today, you guys. Everybody kind of wants to know, like, why are we putting these regulations in place, specifically blanket?
Well, again, the laws regarding these protected
I
animals.
think these regulations in place specifically blanket. Talk
Well,
about
again, the laws regarding these protected animals are really designed to help their populations thrive. Right? We don't want their populations to decrease any further than they already are. So these rules and these guidelines are in place to keep their populations healthy, keep their behaviors healthy, allow them to live their lives naturally. We don't want them to become used to humans. We don't want them to become conditioned to humans. We don't want humans to change their natural behaviors. So that's why all these laws, and depending on the species, it's different, 50 feet, 100 feet, whatever, but they're all designed to help the animals live naturally and thrive.
Okay, so would you say that human interactions with these animals in the past has affected their behavior?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, human interactions with marine mammals and protected marine animals like sea turtles, it's definitely a key threat. They're definitely a key threat. And human activity. So for example, boating can result in boat strikes on whales, boat strikes on sea turtles. So not just human interaction in the water, but other human activities, fishing, for example, interaction with fishing gear, fishing line, and fish hooks and nets is a major threat, probably the leading threat for sea turtles and Hawaiian monk seals in Hawaii.
Yeah, I feel like that's what we've noticed when we're out diving, is the fishing problem. We had a great question. Hold on, I gotta find it now. If you see a distressed animal in Hawaii, where or who and how should you contact? What should you do in that situation?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. So there's a statewide hotline in Hawaii for any marine animal of concern. So for sea turtles, monk seals, dolphins, whales, you can call 888-256-9840. That's 888-256-9840. That's a statewide number. It's free to call. You don't have to give your name. You can be anonymous, but we want to know what you've seen. We want to know what animal is of concern, where it is, and all that, and then we can send a responder. Depending on the location, we can send a responder to do whatever's necessary.
I love that.
Really good question. So.
And would that apply? What about like animals caught in fishing gear and like that kind of distress,
Absolutely.
like something we see a lot of?
Any animal of concern.
Oh, beautiful.
Sea turtles, seabirds, whales, dolphins, Hawaiian monk seals.
What if there's something that they see that's not in that? Would that be something like, let's say you see like a shark?
Shark, that would be the jurisdiction of the state, and that would be, you would have to call the Division of Aquatic Resources.
Okay.
But if you call that 888 number, we could provide you with that number.
Okay.
Perfect. I love it. I know we have a couple.
Do you guys have any other questions specifically for Jon that you're interested in?
Had a couple of people mention our poor little shark with like his bad jaw.
Yeah. We had once found a shark with a jaw that was like completely disconnected.
So that would not, so the difference that we're talking about right now is the phone number we just got and everything that's going to be for the animals in the Endangered Species Act.
Dolphins, whales, seabirds, Hawaiian monk seals, and sea turtles.
Perfect. Okay. And any kind of distress to those animals?
Any kind of concern.
Beautiful. Okay, guys, and that's really good information to know and keep a hold of, just because we do once in a while see these animals in distress. We get asked a lot to help these animals while we're out there. Is that something you ever recommend doing?
We don't, and there's good reasons for that. First of all, if you were to try to assist an animal in distress, you would be interacting with it, you would be changing its behavior, and therefore you'd be violating the law. Big question, main issue. Second issue is it's very dangerous for untrained responders to try to respond. You can get seriously injured or killed trying to assist like a dolphin or a whale or a monk seal or a sea turtle that you think may be in distress. And the third reason is often the level of distress may not be life-threatening. So for example, we see turtles all the time that might have a hook in their jaw or in their neck. The hook itself is probably not life-threatening. Now, if it's entangled, tightly entangled, definitely you want to let us know. We can do what we can to help. But we would not suggest an untrained member of the public to try to intervene with any of these animals.
Perfect.
Illegal, dangerous to you, and dangerous to the animal.
Exactly. Our next question we got was, Are there any volunteer opportunities here that you know about, and or anywhere else where people can, give back in a situation like this and make a difference, whether they live here or they're visiting?
So here on Oahu or on Molokai, you could contact us at our website, which is h-mar.org. And we have volunteer opportunities on both islands.
Beautiful.
On Maui and on the Big Island, you can contact the Marine Mammal Center. They have a variety of opportunities. You can also contact on Maui, the Maui Ocean Center, Marine Institute. They have volunteer opportunities. So every island kind of has their own activities that are available. You can also go to the NOAA website, NOAA, NOAA, and they have opportunities, all the volunteer opportunities for the entire state listed in one place.
Beautiful. Are the regulations that we have in Hawaii going to be the same regulations for the animals that migrate, especially like in between the states, like the whales that live in Alaska come down here? So would they have the similar protections elsewhere, or is it really just here in Hawaii?
Yeah, so for example, the laws I talked about for humpback whales, those apply anywhere in the United States. And
Yay.
same thing with spinner dolphins, other dolphins. Those are U.S. federal laws.
I love that. Yay. Well, that was a really quick interview, you guys. Hello. We really just wanted to talk to Jon and get this on camera for you, quickly go over all the guidelines and everything of all these animals that we see all the time, and get this footage so we can post later, and just keep reminding you how we're supposed to be respecting the marine life that we are spending so much time around, and why. So thank you so much, Jon, for giving us some really nice, easy responses for everybody to just keep in mind. One quick question we wanted to ask before we left. I think we talked about it right before we started the live. Help me.
Is there any regulations that are going to be put in place?
Yeah, regular.
Right. I'm not aware of any pending new regulations. But again, some of these apply to any animal that are on the Endangered Species Act. So if there's an animal that is currently not listed on the Endangered Species Act, the minute it becomes listed on the Endangered Species Act, all these protections would apply.
Okay.
So,
so basically, if or when one of these species becomes on the Endangered Species Act, then it's covered under these guidelines and regulations and everything like that. But honestly, I don't think that it matters whether they're on the Endangered Species Act or not. We should probably respect all marine animals and give them that space that they need, because interacting with them in general does affect their behaviors, and our impact does make a big difference on the planet, as we've seen already. Mm-hmm.
So the regulations are going to differ from different parts of the world.
That's right. So what I've been talking about are U.S. Guidelines and rules, but they could apply differently in different countries. So you should always check with the local jurisdiction.
Exactly. So just like Jon said, whenever you're traveling anywhere, especially where there is going to be endangered wildlife, please look at the different regulations that are going to be set in place. Almost everywhere you travel to around the world is going to have an endangered animal, unfortunately. So it's going to be in your best interest and the animal's best interest to go look at the guidelines and regulations set in place to help the animals thrive, to keep them safe. If there are no guidelines in place, just Kara and I especially, we do recommend that you keep the Hawaii guidelines in place if you were to ever see a humpback whale or a dolphin. So we do ask that if there are no guidelines in that particular country, to just keep these guidelines in effect. They are here for a reason. These animals are endangered. And then last question is, do you offer or know about any informational classes people can take as far as some of the stuff we've talked about, whether it's regulations or how and why these animals are endangered?
NOAA, again, the federal agency, has a wealth of information on their website. All kinds of good content about the different species, their natural behaviors, their natural history, the rules, the guidelines, the laws. They're an excellent source for all kinds of content.
Yay. Do you have any questions you wanted to ask? I know Jon had to get going. He's a busy man. But did you have any last questions before we head off, Kara?
I think we covered most of everything we needed to know. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey.
Really appreciate you
Thanks for
coming
the opportunity.
Yeah.
And, showing our viewers all this wonderful information, giving them stuff that will help when they do come and visit places.
Oh, super last question, because this is actually, I feel like, something that people would bump into once in a while. Quickly, can you tell us about baby turtles that are trying to make their way to the ocean? and what to do if you ever see that happening?
Oh, absolutely. So baby turtles hatch from the shoreline, and they make their way to the ocean as best they can, and then they go to deep water, and they spend, for example, green sea turtles spend between 5 and 8 years out in deep ocean. We actually call it their lost years because we don't really know what they do. But they're growing. They're slowly growing, and they're learning, and they're starting to forage. And then by the time they're 5 to 8 years old, they make their way back to nearshore waters, and they start foraging in nearshore waters. And when they return, they're about the size of a dinner plate. So if you see a small turtle that may be a foot or less, that's a very young turtle. It's just coming back to forage in nearshore waters. And then over the remainder of their lifetime, they slowly grow, slowly grow. They can live to be 80, 85, 90 years old for green turtles. And they get bigger and bigger and bigger. But unless you see a turtle that is about 4 feet long, everything else is considered juvenile or a young adult. Full-size turtles are 3 to 4 feet long.
And would you ever, and I'm trying to word this right way, how would you word people wanting to help the turtles get to the water? What would you say?
You don't.
Okay.
Yeah, again, it's a felony, and it's just not respectful for the animals. The animals need to do what they do naturally. If you see a nest that is where a bunch of animals are struggling, then definitely you can call that 888 number, and somebody can come help. But individual animals, it's not something, it's illegal for you to interact with them. It's illegal for you to change their behavior.
Perfect. Yay, okay, so those are the big questions. We got this. John's got to get going, you guys, but that was a fantastic interview. Thank you so much, Jon. I know that if you missed the interview or you just logged on a little late, we do have all this recorded, so we will be using a lot of the information Jon gave us in the interview itself to post that for you guys to review later. And we'll be talking about a lot of the things that we spoke with Jon about today, just to kind of remind you as well. But thank you guys so much. We're going to get going. Let Jon get on with this busy day.
Thank you.
I know, and definitely don't eat fish, people. Definitely by keeping an eye on sustainable seafood and or not eating a ton of seafood in general is going to help a lot, especially with our fishing problems. I did a lot of screaming yesterday and I swallowed a ton of salt water. So I woke up this morning and my voice is totally gone. So I feel fine, everything's great, but I just woke up this morning and I sound like that. It was that mask I was wearing yesterday with that like janky snorkel. It's like inhaled so much salt water. But bye guys.
Bye guys, we love you. Have a good day.
And no dive today, guys, but we'll see you this weekend. All right, aloha guys.